Well, welcome everybody to Watercolor Studio 42, and today I kind of get in the mood to do some hills, mountains, and I found a nice colorful picture. I take my pictures a lot of times for postcards or magazines, whatever comes along, calendars, if you will. This is a calendar today. This is a picture of some mountains off in Utah, and it's a state park, Wachusett State Park, and it's kind of a very colorful picture. I kind of get attracted to the fact that it's got some darker clouds with a very soft blue background, and then so that's your cool colors, and then you got a combination of the warm colors that will be coming into it. So this is what I'm going to be working on today. There's hundreds and hundreds of trees. Certainly you can't put everything in. You have to kind of decide how much you have time for, and it's not a good idea to try to draw every little detail in your picture. We always try to kind of simplify it a little bit and make the images a lot of times more suggestive than trying to go into fussy detail. So what I'm going to be doing is, this is an outdoor picture of some mountains and a lot of forest and so forth in the foreground. And the color is kind of intriguing because you get this warm sort of a orangey color swinging across in the valley, and then some greens, and then cooler colors for the sky, blues and purplish colors. So I'm going to start off, and when I do an outdoor painting, I always start off with wetting the sky across here, across the top of the paper. In this case today, 2/3 of the painting will be land, and 1/3 will be the sky. So I usually put some marks on my paper just to know where the center is, so I can work a little bit off center. I don't want it to be looking too symmetrical, one half looking too much like the other half. So I'm just wetting this area here. This is going to be where the sky is going to go. Now, I always start with, I look at a picture and I always start off with some of the lighter colors first. And in this case, it's going to be a real soft blue, very, very light blue across the sky. I'm going to use some of my phthalo here, water it down a bit, and just do some of that background color. Just a little bit like that. I always tell everybody I'm not fussy with the sky a lot of times, because a lot of times when you do a picture, by the time you get through, some of the trees are tall enough and you can hardly see the sky, or the buildings are too tall, and you just see a little bit of the sky showing through. So I don't spend a lot of time working on the sky. Okay, this picture here has some sort of ominous darker clouds. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of my quinacridone rose, which is actually alizarin crimson. I'm going to work some of that in across here. And at the top area of the picture, we're going to put in some a little deeper cloud colors. Let's get a little bit of quinacridone rose mixed in with my ultramarine blue, and that's going to be kind of an ominous darker cloud back here somewhere. I always use a big brush when I'm putting the wash in for the sky. Now you could tilt the board a little bit. You don't have to have too much of a tilt. You can put just about anything under there, a ruler, a little block of wood, or whatever. I'm just going to elevate it a little bit here so that the water doesn't settle in one particular spot. I got a pretty good looking sky. I make it a lot lighter than the picture so far, but having said that, I can always come back in and put some darker color in right up in the top part. There's quite noticeable where the sky is. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'll put a dash of a darker cloud through here. There's a little bit of warm color in the sky too. I could probably indicate some of that. Picking up a little bit of orange, just a hint on some of the clouds here. A little bit up in there. Just a little bit of orange, just a hint in the sky. And when I put color wet into wet, what it normally does is just kind of settles in on its own. You don't have to scrub it at all. Just drop some color in there and it just softens into the sky. That looks pretty well. All right, so there's just some sky. Now, while I'm waiting for the sky to dry, because when I do the contour of the mountains, I have to have the sky dry so that when I put that clean cut contour of the mountains in, I don't have to worry about it smudging and blurry. What happens a lot of times, I try to jump ahead too fast, and then I'm always forever trying to lift up some of the, the puddles. So that I make. Now, while I'm waiting for the upper part to dry, I'm going to do down here. Now, with this foreground here, or in the lower area, it's kind of lower land. It's somewhat below the tree level, obvious, and so there's going to be a lot of green in there. Now, the base color for the green is just a little bit of yellow. Just a base color yellow. And I think I'm going to get a little bit more paint on the brush here, make that a little darker. Yeah, the ground here is kind of a base color yellow, and then just comes across over in here. And there's hundreds and hundreds of trees, probably thousands of trees there. So when I paint, I have to kind of just suggest a few trees, but it's pretty obvious you don't have time to spend on each individual tree, so I just kind of push some shapes up into here. Okay, and across the bottom. There's sort of a darker streak of yellow right up in this area here, a little band of yellow in the trees, and a little bit across the ground here. Okay, that's it. I kind of pull some of the brush marks up so that it suggests, that the points on the tree, fir trees. Gets a little bit busy through here. A lot of trees down in this area. It would take you forever if you had to spend a lot of time being fussy about all those trees being in there. I'll put in a suggestion of a few trees. Then there might be just a hint. I'm going to just put a little bit of orange in here too, down in this area. Maybe just a little more of that. Just some orange in there. Kind of pick up some of the color from the sky too. Right in here, I'm going to backtrack a bit. Got a nice little puddle here that I got to pick out. There you go, something like that. Sometimes I get a little bit too much water on the paper. There we go. That's better. Excuse me. We'll get back down into here. Add a little bit more orange. And see what we can do. There's going to be some orange. I always there's always more color that the camera picks up than probably what you would normally see. And the artist, whoever's working on a painting a lot of times, they take advantage of color. And they make the landscape a little bit more colorful than you normally would see it. And that's what they do with cameras. They put a filter on a camera a lot of times, just to bring out a little bit more color. I'm just kind of dabbling around with a lot of little tight trees in through here. Notice I'm using the side of the brush so that when I lift up, it makes a nice point for the tops of the trees. Yeah, quite a few in there. Okay, then you got some color down in through this middle area. It's a very, very bright orange. I don't know if it's almost a pale light red. And that's going to be kind of, it's way off in the distance, so you can kind of paint that in more of a solid color in through here. And you see it goes up into there. So this is kind of the lower hills. And across over into here. Something like that. Kind of trying to pick up some of how the way the color is. And that's that can be mixed in with a little dash of yellow also. You know, this is probably a fall scene. That's why the trees are so colorful. Let's push down into here a little bit. Over here. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to break it up a little bit because I'm trying to put a lot of trees in a short amount of time here. Here we go. Goes off over in here. These are sort of like the lower portions of the mountains. It's kind of, I guess, I don't know, you call them the foothills or something to the mountains. And then with the yellow, I can kind of come across here. It kind of looks further away, so you don't have to be so fussy with showing as much detail. Okay. See, I'm getting, this is just the foundation of the color. And it's kind of the underlying color, but it's very important that you kind of indicate the base color. If you started off just putting just a flat color in, a lot of times like you do grass or something, if you don't add something else as the base color, the grass looks kind of dull, you know, just a green, same shade of green or something. So I always have a little bit of color that I introduce in the my paintings. I can come up into here, I guess, a little bit. Oops, over there. Don't want to get too wet. My sky's still a little bit wet, so I still can't do that contour line across there. I'm sticking with a big brush. This is a 1-inch flat brush, and I can do probably just about all of the painting with one brush. But there are some places that you have to finish up with this, probably fussy stuff with a smaller brush. This has happened to be a 1-inch flat, across the bottom flat. And that's about it. Let's see what else I can do over here. This is kind of a little swooping valley in here with this color. Okay. Foundation color, very important. That's what makes your paintings a little bit more noticeable and lively with some of these stronger base colors. Really, really vibrant yellow right in there, orange, almost a red, and get some. Kind of break that up in here a little bit. Across here. I don't need to leave that white. Paint that in. Some of these base colors actually are just pretty much solid washes of color that you put in. But if you don't do that, your paintings don't look as lively as they should. They look kind of flat and not attractive. So you got to kind of break up and introduce a lot of little color in the background. You take places like Utah and New Mexico, Arizona, their landscape is pretty much the same, mountainous quite a bit, and there's some nice beautiful lakes sometimes at the base of them, the hills and things. I like to do the Southwest paintings because they do have a lot of, color, very vibrant. I guess we can make that kind of disappear off there. Now, I do a minimal amount of drawing. It only takes kind of a couple of seconds. Well, I should more than a couple of seconds, but probably a minute or two, just to kind of lay in a little bit of the stronger contours that you want to cover. And I always try to kind of make it look like an S shape or a Z or something, so that there's a lot of diagonals, and diagonal lines move in your painting. Now it's very strong in the foreground right through here of movement diagonally, and then you come across this way, and then finally when I do the contour of the mountain, this will carry up into here, hopefully. So the right up in there is going to be probably the focal point that I'm trying to take the viewer into the painting. So that's what we're working at now. Let's see what else I can put in here. I think, I guess it's okay. I'm just going to go a little further to the edge here. Maybe fill in some of that middle, a little bit of the middle area right down into here. That's kind of very strong reddish orange, almost like bright like a pumpkin. Let's see what we got here. Right across through here, okay? That's that. And some color over there. Now, I'm just going to sneak a little bit of some of that brighter red in there. Because maybe it's because of the camera's filter, but maybe it's actually this brighter color. We'll see what we can do. It certainly doesn't hurt your picture, excuse me, to exaggerate your color a little bit. And because even though it looks kind of too bright, watercolor has a tendency, when it dries out, to dry lighter, so it doesn't hurt to kind of really come in stronger with color. I'm just kind of going over my orange a little bit and doing some of the spots where it's really kind of almost a reddish orange color. Really bright color. Maybe stronger through here. A little bit more down through here. Okay. And I think I'm going to chop this up into here a little bit more. Cut it to here. Just cut that down into there more. These are just the trees. And like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, was that there's thousands of trees And it's impossible to paint, go into too much extensive detail about the trees. Just kind of suggest them more or less across through here. I think we're probably all set. I'm going to bring this out to the edge, right to the tape. Get that in there. Okay, there's going to be some places where the trees are going to cut across a little bit down through here. So forth. You can see, I'm just laying it in the foundation. Once you get that finished, then you check back here and see if the sky's dry enough to paint the contour. And when I do the contour, I could still use this brush, but what I have to make sure is I pull the top edge down, blend it down into the main body of the mountain. If I come across, like I do something like this, I put that in, and then I can't leave it that way. I just pull that down before it can settle in. Yeah. So the only edge you have is across the top. Okay, I'm going to be adding a lot of darker shades into this as we go along. This particular picture looks like there's still mountains in the upper part of it, so what I do with that sometimes is just leave it white, the white of the paper, or I can come back and use a little bit of white paint, a white acrylic that's more opaque, and just paint right over into that. Okay, I'll round this off a little bit more. There. Some of the mountains are going to go off. See, this goes up into here, goes kind of flat there, and then comes down this way, over here, swings down into this area. It's still a little bit wet though. And then there's another couple of peaks sort of off in the distance over in here somewhere. Something like that. Okay. Just pull some of that off there. All right, now this is a little bit wet, so a little bit of the mountains running into the sky, so I'm going to kind of pull some of that out for now, and we'll go over it again. Kind of let that dry a little bit more. Now, while I'm letting some of this dry, this upper portion, what I can do is to come back down and do some of the foreground. I put in some yellow, orange, and then now I'm going to mix up some green and take a little bit of my, take some yellow, put that out, and then take some of my sap green, mix that in to the yellow, and just see what we have now. This is going to be a little bit more of the ground in through here. There is some yellow in that, but I think if I put a little bit more green to it, see what this looks like. Now, a lot of times I have a piece of scrap paper that I kind of have handy, and I just test the color on a piece of scrap paper. But a lot of times I kind of don't need it as much. The color pretty much is what I'm looking for. Go right across through here. This is going to be pushed up into here more because I got a real dark band of green trees right across through here. Another group of trees right in here. There we go. Now you see what's happening up there. That's sort of like what you call a water stain, kind of where the water runs a little bit. But that's because it's still wet, and I didn't let it quite dry out as much as it should. Let's see, we're going to fix this up a little bit more there. Kind of fix up that shape in there better. Fill this in across here, it's kind of flat. And then that's going to go back eventually up into here. Have to take some of those lines out. This here's down, and that's going to go back up into the mountains off here. You don't need a hard edge there. So I just pull that up into that area. Okay, let's see if I can kind of break this up a little bit more. All right. I think it's lighter in there. A little darker in here. So that gives you an idea how we're building up. Now, I got to get back to doing some of the green that we were working on down through here. That kind of goes off here. There you go. Just trying to dabble that in a little bit across the bottom. And carry this out over here. And let's see. I guess it wouldn't hurt to go back up in there. Make the green a little bit darker. Right across through here. These trees are going to be more in the really closer to you in the foreground. Something like that. Right up the hill. I'm going to go right up the side of the hill here. Just fill this a little bit more. And I got to kind of straighten this out a little bit in through here. And add some more color. I have a lot of different shades in that one. Now, for the most part, I've stuck with the same brush the whole time. Goes down through here. Oops, that's a little bit too wet. I'm not getting good points on my tree tops here. Okay. Kind of busy through here. A lot of little suggestions of trees all through there. I'll put a little bit of blue into my green to make it a little deeper. And I don't know if that's going to be dry enough yet to go up into it. Probably not. See, I want these things to hold their shape if I can. And if it's too, see how it's too wet, it's kind of blurring out. So I'm not going to do too much into that yet. As far as pulling some of the treetops up into that. I don't know if there's anything else. This is still wet down here too. Just fill that in across the bottom. Right into the corner. Like that. This is kind of spreading out quite a bit, but we'll clean that up. What right now is the problem is that I've got the paper too wet, and I've got to kind of buy some time here to let it dry off. So, but when I buy the time, I can be working on something else, doing some detail down into here. Excuse me. Okay. Now what I'm doing is just dropping just in different shades of color, and I'll kind of come in with a real deeper color as we go along, but you'll see a little bit of that color that I've got for the base show through it in places. I'm trying to get a little bit more texturing in here. This is, see, it's still wet, so everything, when you lay the color down, it just smudges out. It does not hold its shape at all. Okay. Let's just do some more, a little bit of patchy work here. I don't think I like that shade of green as much. Let's put a little bit of yellow into it. When you go off into a corner, you don't have to get too fussy, because mostly your concentration is on getting to the upper area of the mountains eventually. But what I'm doing here is just kind of, I don't know if this is dry, see it not holding its shape very well. A lot of trees that are coming up in here, the foreground, going up the hill. I might as well finish this corner, make it a little darker, solid color. Some of these things here, I'm going to take a new towel. I'm just going to blot some of this and see if I can erase some of that green up into here. Yeah, that's better. Okay. This looks like it needs to be kind of more of a darker color here. Let's fill that in. It's coming along okay. Break this up along here a little bit more. And I don't know if it's dry enough yet to start pushing some of these colors back up in there. You can kind of get a feel for how it's drying out. And like I was saying earlier, it's almost impossible to put in every individual or even come close to individual trees. You're just kind of breaking it up into these patches and solid areas. Something like that. A little darker over here. Right in there, quite a bit darker. we'll take some of that Payne's gray, put a little green into that. See if I can darken some of this in here. Another color that I use a lot too to make some of the shades is using this Payne's gray down in the corner. This comes in really dark too. You can get an idea how dark that is. Go through here. That's how that works. Okay, I don't know if I want that to fade off too soon. I don't mind fading off into the corners. I don't have to make the corners look that interesting. Just going to kind of break it up a little bit and then come across here. Kind of fill some of that in. You see how I'm just subtly building up some of those values across here. Break that up a little bit more. I can start coming in with some darker shades. I'm using Payne's gray, but I'm not using it straight. I'm putting some green into it. Right across in here. Oops. See how? That's still wet. It just doesn't hold its shape. The color's not staying in place. Okay, I'm waiting for this to dry up in there so we can get a finishing touches to the contour of those mountains. And in the meantime, I'm just kind of doing a little bit of cleaning up down through here. Kind of a later area in here. See, get the. I want to make the bottoms a little bit cleaner and pull that back up into there. Get an idea what we're doing here. Okay, a little bit more down through here. See, it's a little bit of a cleaner cut line here. And then you pull, you get that line in there, then you just push up some of that color. You can kind of push it up into here more. Something like this. What you want to do when you paint a lot of times is to make sure that you solidify almost an area of trees. The trees are so dense that they almost like all fused together, but you can't just leave them exactly fused together. You do have to show a little bit of contour around them, but I'll probably do that with the finishing touches, you know, with a smaller brush. Right now, I'm just trying to cut up into that and make some of the color down through here kind of interesting. So letting some of the background color come through. Let some of that come through here. Right along here, I can make that a little bit more darker. Now, this goes all the way down into here. So what I got to do now, mix up some more darker color and go across through here more. And see how I'm kind of putting some darker shades into this? See how you kind of, you need to bring out more of the contour. Go right across through here. Some of these trees are going to be kind of tall. Ones that would be closer to you in the foreground. That's how that kind of breaks up, will work eventually. This here is kind of, has to kind of go off over here somewhere. It's kind of broken up a little bit more. It's a little bit tricky trying to get that many trees in here. Kind of time consuming in a way. I can afford to get a little bit darker right across the bottom here. Right in this area here. Let's just make that a little bit deeper down here. And up into here. And it's going to be quite dark in the corner. Get these trees a little bit straighter here. And you can't have these shapes kind of straggly, so you do have to kind of go into them a little bit more, gives them a little bit more shape, contour somehow. I may need a smaller brush, so I'm not going to get to that until I can probably use a smaller brush. This looks kind of fuzzy through here, so I got to pull that, make that a little bit stronger. Right up into here. Yeah. This is where you have to get a little bit, take a little bit more time to put some of these, so many trees in, I should say. Come down through here. And to make that, the trees are so thick, it's almost a solid area that you're looking at. That's okay. Yeah. See what else we can do. Push this up into here. Break this up a little bit more across here. Have to get used to wiggling the brush around quite a bit. Probably need some more, a little bit darker contrast here. I have a tendency to kind of lay back a little bit and not try to make the colors get too dark too soon. But you get to a point where you have to do something more drastic here. Chop this up, pull this up. Get that up into here more. See how that works. Gets a real busy here. Trees are very tight together. Okay. We'll be coming out of that corner. Like I said, in the corners, you really don't have to get too busy with it. But I do want to bring out more of a contrast between the trees back there. Push some of these darker areas up into here higher. I don't want to take too much time doing some of this fussy stuff. There's a few little things happening up in here. Kind of lighter. Okay. Gotta break this up a little bit more. Kind of a busy spot. I can't leave this the way it is. It looks like this. It doesn't look like trees. It looks like tall blades of grass. So it gives us a little bit more attention. Try to make it look more like the trees. Hey. Okay. I'm getting a lot done down here while we wait for that to dry. That's very critical. If that's keep kind of spreading out and staining, I won't be able to get a nice clean cut of those mountains. Actually, you don't need much, you don't want to draw too much attention to that. Eventually I want to get back up into here a bit. Now, I think probably I can't do too much more just yet with this, because I want to get that contour of the mountains in there. So I'm going to double back, and I could probably get away. I'm going to try to get away with using the same type of size brush, rather. See if I can get this cleaner here. I'm going to go up into here and just pull that down in a hurry. Let's see. It's got to go a lot darker. See if I can get some Payne's gray in there. Okay. Try it again. Go over that. Yeah, it's kind of clean cut now. Better than it was. And I got to go way up into there. And pull that back down. Kind of make that edge a little bit chopped up. That's got quite a point there. Let's bring this up and kind of bring it down. Whoops. Let's get a little darker color on that brush. Right up in there, and then pull that back. That's better. Okay, pull that down. That comes down in through here, kind of breaks across, cuts back in. Now what I've got to do is take, while this is still wet. I gotta take some of this off, water it down into here. Take some of that sharp edge away from the bottom of it. Anyways, you put that in. This is kind of needs to be kind of pulled out a bit here. Something like that. Make sure this is clean across here. We'll see where I'm over, somewhere over here. Okay, come down this way, and this one goes off. And get that over there. That's a little further away, so it's not going to be quite as noticeable. A little not quite as dark. Has somewhat of a peak there. Cut into that, and kind of go off here. Okay, off that way. Now, now I've got to just break up, and this is where I go to a different type of a brush, or a smaller brush. It's a little bit smaller, because now I've got to get in and do a little bit of the work on the edge of the mountain here. Just show a little bit more of the detail there. Let's go a little bit darker over here. Let's see. Oh yeah, I want to make that a little bit more noticeable into here. Just kind of break that up a bit. And down through here. Oops. Need some more paint on the brush. Some water. Right in through here, that could be kind of cut into. All right. And then across here, there's sort of like a little bit of a swoop in there. Let's see if I can get that. Just a little cut that in there. And kind of bump up the bottom edge here. Okay, that's more of a shadow in there more than anything. I don't know if I can take that edge out or not. That's all right. Not so noticeable anyways. And that comes across. Then I got to go up into here. Okay. Now that can have a little bit more purple to it. I'll put a little bit of Payne's gray and some blue in there, but it can also, I want some more red. Here we go. See what this looks like. This kind of gets a little bit more purple in here and comes up into here. It could have a lot to do with the filter on the camera too. Right down through here. Okay. Pull that down into there. Kind of into the valley like. Pull that down. Then off here it goes a little bit broken up here. I'm getting a little bit more blue than I'm trying to get more purple, but we can work some of that, get some more red into this thing, and that will help perk it up for the purple. Something like this. Pull some of that out, and nice, pretty color, anyways, no matter what. Get some of this smooth in here. Pull this up, sharpen the ridge right in there. Break this up a little bit here. Okay, you get the idea of how that kind of works. Now, I'm just going to cut down through here a little bit. We're kind of running out of time, so I'm just going to finish across here, and got to get this angle. This dips just a little bit more into here. Let's take some of it, make that sort of a shadow in there. And you're going to have a little bit more, just kind of break it up going off that way. It needs a little bit more work with trees down in this area here. Kind of chop that up a little bit. And you kind of get the idea how that works. Probably a little bit more shading through here and whatnot. Now, just to finish this off, probably you'd have to do a little bit more touching up. But nevertheless, I'm going to just quickly pull the tape and clean up the edges for you so you can see what it might look like. There you go. Take a couple more pieces off here, and we should be all set. Well, thanks for being with us, and time sure does fly when you're having fun. And here we are. You get a little bit of the idea what it's going to look like when it's finished. Okay, there you go. It needs some work, just finishing it up. But nevertheless, so brush it up and we'll see you next time.